All right, so now that we have our movement around, what we need to do is set up some timers. Okay, so we'll say function, we'll call this timer spawn square. And we can say, yeah, timer spawn square, and we'll add in our timer here. We'll say let wait equal to skaction.wait for duration. And we're going to do square, and we can do our spawn time. For example, we do have, we can set up our spawn time up here. So let's move up to the top. And I know there's a lot of scrolling because the text is so big, but we'll call this square spawn time, make that equal to 1.0, and then var circle spawn time is equal to 2.0. All right, so let's hop back down. So this will be square spawn time, and we have, and it should be time. So there's an extra R up there. So let's take a look at this. And I'll just move it up. Square spawn time. And circle spawn time. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to say let spawn is equal to skaction.run block. And the block we're going to run is self.spawn square. And remember, all of the items have been set up within square. So we're going to say let sequence is equal to skaction.sequence. And we're going to say wait, then spawn. All right, so we got wait, then spawn, just like that. Self.run action, skaction.repeat action forever. We're going to do the sequence. While we're here, let's set up if is alive is double equal to true, then we'll also say that if is alive is double equal to true, we'll spawn the square. Otherwise, the square won't spawn. Now what we can do is we can literally copy and paste this, and we can call this timer spawn circle. All right, and then we'll call this circle spawn time. And everything's the same except we'll do spawn circle avoid. Now remember, we're spawning the circle avoid, then we're spawning the circle self.spawn circle actual. So we'll spawn an avoid and a circle. Now, since we're pinning circle avoid or circle actual to circle avoid, it's best that you spawn it first. If you spawn something and you try to attach it to something that's not there, it could crash the program. So you want to make sure that that's first, okay? The rest of this can stay the same, okay? Let's go ahead, let's add in a function, and we could probably just paste this whole function again because we're going to spawn the star. So we'll call this timer spawn star, and we'll make this every 0.4 seconds, or maybe 0.2. We'll spawn a lot of stars. And we will say self.spawn star, and there we go. And essentially everything's the exact same. So we have different timers. Now, the reason why I set up 3 different functions for 3 different timers instead of one big timer is that technically these are all different, and the way that SpriteKit is set up, it allows us to make sure that we have this extra text. It becomes a bit verbose, but that is just the way SpriteKit is. Let's set up these timers here. So timer, timer, and then timer. Just timer, timer, timer. And we have to set up those timers in our override function did move to view, or else they won't spawn here. Now, technically, nothing is going to happen because we have to set up our actions here. Okay, so let's add in a function here. And we'll actually add it in after the square. We'll say function, we'll say move square to bottom. And in order to do this here, we'll say move square to bottom, and we'll say let wait equal to sk_action dot wait for duration. And actually, it's not wait for duration. It's let move to is equal to sk_action dot move to, and we're going to say it's a CG point. We're going to move the square to -100, and the timer is going to be square speed. We set that up earlier. Okay, and we're going to say let destroy is equal to sk_action dot remove from parent. That's going to destroy it here. And you can see here, this actually has to be moved to y, and then it's going to be -100 square speed. All right. Then we're going to go to we're actually going to go to square collect dot run action is equal to sk_action dot sequence, and we're going to add in the move to and destroy. We have to destroy it because if you don't destroy it, what's going to happen is that your game will lag, because every time you spawn something, it will create a little bit of it will use up a little bit of memory, and if you have 1,000 little pieces that use up a little bit of memory, it equals a lot of memory. So let's go, and you want to make sure that you say move square to bottom. You want to call that function within your spawn square. So every time you spawn a square, it's going to move it to the bottom. Now let's do the same thing for the circle avoid here, except we'll say move circle avoid to bottom. All right, we'll say let move to, and this will be circle speed. We did set that up earlier, and all we need to do is circle avoid, not circle actual, circle avoid. All right, and remember, we do pin it to the circle avoid, so that does indeed work. All right, so we got this move to circle, and what we need to do in addition to this is we need to do the same thing with this. We need to first of all call it. We'll say move circle to bottom, and we're going to copy this function here, and for the stars we'll say move stars to bottom star. Okay, and we can make this, actually what we'll do is we'll make it a different speed. So we'll say let random speed equal to int arc for random uniform, and we'll say that this is between 1 and 10. Okay, then we're going to say let double speed, or we can just call it d speed for double, which is of type double, because this duration here requires a double, and a double is a type of variable that has decimals. So we got d speed is equal to double is equal to double, and then it's going to be random speed divided by 10, and I'm going to add in plus 2. Now what this does is that we need to now add in some brackets here, and you also want to make sure that double turns purple. All right, and we need to say that, so we got double random speed is divided by 10, and that works, plus 2. Okay, and there we go. So we're going to say d speed in there. Now what this does is that this will change every time we spawn a star. The speed will be a little bit different. Okay, so this concludes the tutorial.